just, there's been times I've been in the woods and it's been daylight, 1 o'clock, and just feel a cold spot, and you feel something just so freaking evil, and it's like you sense it, and it's just like, if this thing could embody it, I feel like it would attack me, and then it's gone, and that's why I wonder a lot about, in the ancient Hebrew and Greek, it talked about when Jesus was in the wilderness, that he fought, it talks about he fought with things that were not of this earth. And a lot of times when I'm in the woods and I experience that, I think upon that scripture, and I think, that this has to be what this is.
I do know.
So, I don't know. Maybe I just, and I'm very open with what I talk about. I put myself out there a lot to talk about stuff. And a lot of the well-known Bigfoot investigators on the West Coast, I've got a good friendship with them because they tell me, you'll talk about it when nobody else does. And I'm like, well, yeah, because why not?
Right.
I'm already crazy. So, it's just like with ghost hunters, with I think a lot of paranormal investigators see 90%, you don't hear but 90%, you just hear 10% of what they actually see. They probably experience a lot more, they just don't want to see it. And this is kind of the heyday for the Bigfoot and the paranormal stuff. I really feel that. And I love people that's like, well, you can't prove it. Well, you can't disprove it. So
that's right.
Whatever.
It's my experience, and that's what it stays. But you know what? We are going to have to take this break.
Yes, ma'am.
We will be right back. This is going to be about 2 minutes, and I hope you enjoy this.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
And just like that, we're back. So, we have been covering a lot of ground here, but Denise has a question for you as well.
Okay.
And this is actually something that I have an opinion on, and I can't wait to hear yours. She says, are Bigfoot and UFO related? She knows that they seem to be in the same locations, and she'd just like an opinion.
It is true. There is a lot of correlation between UFOs and Bigfoot when it comes to sightings. They often are seen in the same areas. And just to be honest, I've never seen a Bigfoot get out of a UFO or anything like that, and I'm not being facetious. Right, to date. But I have heard a lot of weird stuff on my audio recorders and then had Bigfoot yells. Now, the audio recorders is just one element. You got your sight in your audio. Your hearing in your sight. And you only hear one thing in audio. I think that's one of the age-old questions. Is there a connection? Like there could be. Is there a connection between sightings of UFOs and Bigfoots? You got it. There's a ton of them. Is there a connection? I mean, I'll be honest. I don't really know. You know, so that's my opinion. I don't know. I'm not afraid to say I don't know. Yeah.
Well, you can't be, right? Because it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, there are no experts in this field.
Right.
I know a couple of people that I would consider pretty close. You would be one of them.
Right.
And,
Thank you.
well, I mean, you do the work. You are on the ground out there all the time. So
Right.
it's just one of those things that you're not sure what is happening. And
Right.
it's just the best you can do, you know, is the best you can do. You have the evidence that you've gathered, you have the information that you've gathered from records and everything else that you come across. When you talked about Cherokee, I had one side of my family that was already in Arkansas, and I had one side of my family that was on the Trail of Tears. And so my family is in both the Eastern and Western clan of the Cherokee Nation.
Right.
It's just a really interesting aspect when I've wandered through those mountains. I have a friend, Mary Joyce, who does the website Skyships Over Cashiers, which is Cashiers, North Carolina. There's a lot of ufology there. There's also a lot of cryptid activity. So it happens, right? I mean...
Oh, yeah. It really does, you know. There's a private location that I'm working right now. It has a ton of a ton of Bigfoot sightings. There's one particular guy that's seen the creature 3 or 4 times. He hasn't had no UFO experience, but right after he started seeing the creature, he started having some really bad paranormal activity at his mother's house that he was living in at the time. And it was so bad, he actually sold the house, got out of it. This is the first documented case I've ever heard of a paranormal connection with Bigfoot.
Interesting.
You know? Yeah, and it was pretty, he told me it was pretty violent. It got to a point where things thrown across the room, not at him, but just the road. You know, so I don't know if it was some type of poltergeist activity. Now, was it connected with the Bigfoot? I don't know, because there are some Native American graves on this property. And, you know, and I was very pointed to ask him, did you do anything with these graves or anything, pick up any arrowheads or anything? And he told me, he said, no, I didn't. He said, but right after I first saw this creature the first time is when a lot of it started. And I thought that was pretty odd. I never heard that before.
Well,
you know, there was some, but you know, I mean, you know, maybe it woke his understanding once he saw the creature. Maybe it was in his life a long time, and you know, opened a door, and you know, one door led to another.
Well, a lot of times I think that's a strong possibility, because if you've been living in denial, I know people, I am people who have, you know, had things happen your whole life, and you write it down to, well, that was weird, but that was just deja vu. That was weird, but, you know, I'm sure I just misheard that. Or, yeah, I'm just being paranoid. So,
right.
You know, it's just one of those things that I think it does open you. If you have one, I'm sorry, Bigfoot is paranormal. It is not normal. It's paranormal. And, you know, ufology is paranormal. All cryptids are paranormal. So, you know, it's just an interesting concept. If you view things that way, that makes them interconnected to a degree. Yeah. Or it certainly makes you capable. If you can experience one, why can't you experience something else? Yeah. And, you know, we have a question that says they're primates, they have souls, right? Well, if you go by animals don't have souls, then that would be no. However, you cannot tell me that my dogs do not. I just
That's right.
can't imagine. And I, for goodness sakes, don't want to go to a heaven that doesn't have them waiting on me there. So the ones that I've lost. So, so they said, Bigfoot could have ghosts too, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Interesting concept.
Anything, anything is possible because, I have a really hankering in my spirit this year to go camping for 2 days in the Talladega National Forest and don't take anything, no audio equipment, no video equipment, just do it. And deep down in my soul, I believe that when I do this, and if I do this, that I will see these creatures very up close and personal, more than I already have. It's a very weird thing to pop in my head, but also I pay attention to what pops in my head.
I do.
And so I told there's this old Bigfoot hunter that lives in Arkansas. He's 90 years old. He's did a lot of investigations in the Southeast, and he's been very kind to listen to me hours, ask questions. He told me, first off, before we start anything, if you ask me any questions, are you doing this for you? And I said, yeah, I'm doing it for me. He said, I know you have a YouTube channel, you do good work. He said, but are you doing it for you? And I am doing it for me. But all of a sudden, this thought is popping in my head, and it scares me to death because it says, if there's, what is the next level? I've proven to myself. I've proven to the world. I could stop tomorrow, to shut everything down and be and still do it privately. But it's an odd question because I'm thinking, well, what happens then? And I deal with a lot of people that don't believe. I deal with people that do believe, and I believe that most people that don't believe, they're afraid to believe. But then again, I'm facing this inner thing that says, go out there with nothing and see what you see. It's almost like when they come closer, but I'm scared to death of that. I don't, it's
or
safe
will you
now
be more vulnerable?
Yes, it's a very powerful thing, and I don't know, it's an unusual part. It's something that's really been resonating in my head here lately, because I've had several people in this private area too who said, you go out there without nothing, just sit in your truck, pull outside your truck, stand beside the road, and just see what happens. And I'll be like, well, what happens? You just kind of try it and see. Well, we've did it. And, them kind of people will blow your mind.
Yes.
Like, well, what the holy hell's going to happen? Well, just do it and see, and
that's hard. That's very hard.
Oh, yeah.
I can't even imagine contemplating that.
Yeah. It's just like these people that love survival, and they like to play at survival. True survival in its purest form where the right step or the left step means death and the right step means life is true survival is not play. True survival is tough.
Yes.
Wherever decision you make depends on whether you live or die, but yes, I don't know. I feel blessed in what I do. Like I said, I've always had paranormal experiences, and with the Bigfoot stuff, I've seen some stuff in the Bigfoot stuff the last 2 months. I've seen 2 or 3 minute things that have happened that has blown me away. That I've even come to the point where I thought about shutting down everything and walking away because I have my proof, and I don't have to prove it to anybody. I don't need validation from nobody.
Because you're
and I don't.
Yeah.
So, but I fight through it because I just feel like sometimes I need to publish things that say this is what it is. So.
Well, my opinion on that, not that it matters, that and $4 will get you a copy of Starbucks, right? But
yeah,
you're doing something that you're called to do. You've already said that you feel that that's why you're in the field. And if that's what you're called to do, then if you feel called to educate people about them or to make people aware of the possibilities or whatever, then you need to do that, because otherwise you're denying a calling. And I have found from personal experience that you can't really run from that.
Oh, no.
And because there are repercussions.
Oh yeah, yeah.